Hi YouTube, I've got a real treat for you today. This is another traveling knife, and this one has traveled a long way across from the US to the UK, and I'll go through the details of it and a little bit of the history of the company as well. So it's really interesting. I found a great site if you're interested in Imperial or Schrade. I've got a great site for you, so I'll talk about that a bit later on. So hang around for that, and it's well worth waiting for. Let's take a look. So this is a frontier knife from Imperial. It's USA made. It's from the 70s, probably the mid 70s, I think, and I'll show you the catalog entry for it a little bit later. You can see the Powderhorn shield on this, and this is a Stag. It's got really nice Delrin scales on it. So they're not real bone, but um, as they say in the adverts, it's better than bone and longer lasting. But it's Delrin made to look like jigged stag. Really nice. So it's a Frontier Stockman. As usual with Stockmans, there are 3 blades. We'll take a closer look at that. You can see the fit and finish is pretty good. I really like these rounded nickel bolsters. You don't see these rounded ones quite so much. And yeah, it's a really nice knife. Taking a closer look at this Frontier Stockman, you can see the Delrin scales. So this is the jigged stag, and you can see the Powderhorn shield on there. I really like the nickel silver bolsters there. You can see the brass pins holding the scales on. It's got brass liners as well. You can see there are 2 back springs and 3 blades. So the 2 smaller blades share a back spring, and then the main blade has one to itself. Really nice knife. It's hard to believe that this knife is nearly 50 years old. Let's take a look at the blades. Starting with the main blade, you can see this here. It's well worn, obviously. Has a bit of patina on it. Hopefully you can see the Frontier tang stamp there, and on the back you can see the pattern number, which is 4231, and Imperial. I'm not sure if I can get that into focus. Thanks to Slip Joint Sawyer for giving this a clean up, and thanks originally to Randy's WSG who sent the knife over. And Randy produced the slip as well, handmade, so I'll show that a little bit later. So really nice blade. So this is a Turkish clip. You can see it's like a clip point, but quite narrow. Slippy's sharpened it, so I'm going to keep my fingers well away from the edge. It's got a nice wide nail nick as well there. So beautiful blade, and the main blade is about 2.5 inches or about 65 millimeters. But a nice thickness and super sharp. Really like that. And a nice close there. The second blade, if I can find the nail nick, the second blade here is a sheep's foot, so no markings on the tang. You can see there's a little bit of patina on this. It's a carbon steel, but really nice shaped blades. I do love a sheep foot with that nice curved top. You can see there's a slight uplift to the blade near the tip. I don't know if it came as that or if it's just through a lot of sharpening. And the great thing about a sheep's foot as well is that you get a nice sharp point on it as well. And as well as not looking too threatening, but really nice blade. And then the final one, let me just get the nail nick for this, is a small spay blade. Slippy's done a great job of sharpening this. You can see that really nice bevel on there. But a really nice knife. The 3 blades, typical Stockman. I think they called this the Serpentine because of this slight S in the shape of the body of this, but a super knife all round. Just before I talk a bit about the history, let's have a look at the slip that it came in. So this is one of Randy's specials. Let me see if I can get this in focus. Hand stitched. It's got his skull stamp on it and a die there. But Randy's been making slips for a few months now. He's getting really good with these. Really like them. So yeah, but a beautiful slip, and this fits in perfectly, just the right size for that. So check out Randy's channel, Randy's WSG. I'll put a link in the description, and the same for Slip Joint Sawyer. I'll put a link to his channel as well. So that is the Frontier Stockman from Imperial. Hope you like the look of this. Now, I have an Imperial knife that I got a little while ago. It's an Imperial It's an Imperial sodbuster. And I thought, oh, right, it's great to have 2 knives that are connected. But actually, the connection is pretty tenuous. Other than the name, there's not much. So this Imperial was made in the USA. This one was made in China. Unfortunately, the Imperial company went under in about 2004, I think. I'll talk a bit more about the history. And the Imperial name, along with Schrade, Old Timer, Uncle Henry, they were all bought by Taylor Brands, and then the names were used to make knives in China. Now, I mean, I am quite happy with my Imperial sodbuster. It's a cracking knife, super cheap. It doesn't have the pedigree that the original does, though. And the Imperial name now, it's owned by, let me just show you here. So it's a Battenfeld product. So I think this is a subsidiary of Outdoor Brands and possibly Smith & Wesson. But it's great to see the knife still being made, but it doesn't have the quality of this particular one. I did some online research and found some pages from the catalogue for this. So this is the front page for the Frontier series of the Salesman's catalogue. I think this was in about 1975. Next, you can see the actual page that this knife is on. So part of the Powerhorn Stag set. And then here's a blow up of pattern 4231, the one that I've been showing you. So this has the round bolster, the serpentine format with the Turkish clip, spay and sheepfoot blades. I just think this is amazing. So here's a little bit of history. The Imperial Schrade Corporation is an American knife manufacturer, and it was known for its production of hunting knives, pocket knives, utility knives and bayonets during the 20th and early 21st centuries. It was a consolidation of 5 forerunner companies, including the Imperial Knife Company, which was founded in 1916, and the Schrade Cutlery Company, founded in 1904. The Imperial Knife Company was one of the original companies that formed the Imperial Schrade Corporation. It was established in 1916 in Providence, Rhode Island. In 1941, Albert M. Bayer purchased the Ulster Knife Company and merged it with the Imperial Knife Company, forming the Imperial Knife Associated Companies to produce knives for the military. Albert's brother Henry Bayer was the company's first president and the namesake for Schrade's Uncle Henry line of knives. The Schrade Cutlery Company, another original company, had its roots in New York Press Button Knife Company, formed in 1892 by George Schrade, an inventor from Sheffield, England. In 1903, Schrade sold all of his interest in the New York Press Button Knife Company to Walden Knife Company. The following year, Schrade formed the Schrade Cutlery Company in Walden. In 1946, the Bayers purchased Schrade Cutlery Company from J. Louis Schrade and renamed it Schrade Walden Cutlery Corporation, a division of the Imperial Knife Associated Companies Group. And the Schrade Walden division was moved from Walden, New York to Ellenville, New York, after a fire consumed the factory in 1958. Tang stamps bearing the Imperial name appeared until 1988, when they were discontinued and replaced by the Schrade name. However, the company's fortunes declined with a number of layoffs, and it entered bankruptcy in 2004 with all of its equipment and intellectual property sold to reimburse creditors. And this was a real shame because this was the 100th anniversary of that original Schrade Cutlery Company. Whilst researching this knife and the Imperial and Schrade companies, I came across this great site that has a load of information on both Schrade and Imperial. There's also a Camillus section as well. Really recommend looking at it. It's got loads of catalogues, loads of photographs, even some of the company newsletters. So well worth a look. It's www.collectorsofschrades-r.us. I'll put a link in the description, so go and check that out. I spent hours looking at this. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? It really helps me to know that I'm making the right sort of content. I've got loads more already. Why not check out this video or this playlist? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.